Take us through again the mind space of your journey, right from entry to where you are today.
Well, entry for me was luck.
Okay.
So I can't say more than that because I didn't even know how it fell into my lap really. So yeah.
And this was without even applying, without even your resume floating around with a headhunter.
No, it's never been there anywhere.
So this is where the relevance of luck, which
I guess that's
we discuss, comes
that's
into a great extent.
Yeah. So yeah, headhunter reached out after seeing my LinkedIn profile, I think. So that is what she tells me. But so I just got a call one fine day, and I just went for the interview. So it's as simple as that. So I don't have anything beyond that to really say how I got into Abler Nordic. But at that time, our CEO Arthur had come down to interview. So we had few rounds, and then I think it just clicked in terms of what they were looking for and what I was looking for. Of course, the sector is completely new. I'd never even known that there is something like microfinance that exists in our country. And I should be ashamed of that, but yeah, it didn't exist for me. So I read up, I did the bit of...
The geek in you came back.
The geek in me came back at that point in time. And I think I will give it to Dinkar, my husband, because I was very skeptical. I was like, this is some Norway, I haven't even heard of this country, like we don't even know what this place is. And somebody from there is coming to interview. And so he did a little bit of research work for me and I think he kind of pushed me into it, very honestly. He said, even on the day of the interview, I remember I was like, really, like, should I go or am I wasting time? And just go. And I think then that's just a start. And the fact that, Arthur is who he is it just helps you.
He's a unique guy.
He's a unique guy.
He's a unique guy.
He's an exceptional boss to have.
Yeah, I've had fun every time I met him.
Yeah. So but then that was the beginning. And yes, in my work, I deal with two different cultures, completely different, right? And in all shape and form and whatever you get.
So for our audience, dwell a little deeper in it, because one is so grassroots.
Yeah.
And is a completely different India, because when you go into field, that is where you see a very grassroots level.
Yeah.
Founders are very different, because the mindset of a founder to go into grassroots and build versus the mindset of a founder building a consumer brand is completely different. So the founder is very different, and the ecosystem where you come from, which is perhaps in terms of at least ideologies, thought processes, is Western, right? Totally. How do you marry? So take us through this beautiful flowchart.
Yeah. So I think the whole aspect about impact investment now is completely abused. But at that time when I was trying to get a understanding of what does this really mean, I think is when I started to look at why Abler Nordic was set up, what is the thinking behind it, etc., etc. And that kind of started with the whole empathy to the founders and to the customers whom we deal with, because then that's where your money is really flowing into and helping. But to understand that entire ecosystem, it took me a while, because coming completely from a capitalistic mindset where you invest, you exit 10x, that's what you're looking for. That was the understanding, making money, right? But here it's much more than that. Yeah. So there was a little bit of gear shift for me as well in my thinking. But that helped in kind of building this bridge, because even for the fund, it's important to know that there is a business here and it's not always just empathy. There has to be sustainability, there has to be money that kind of generates income and business sense.
At the end of the day, there's a return on investment.
Yes.
The ROI is there. It may be a lower margin, but it has to be there.
Yeah. So marrying the two expectations is important. But coming back to how, so at Abler Nordic, we support financial service institutions which focus on bottom of the pyramid customer segment, low income population. And as you said, therefore, it's two diverse worlds. The money in Norway, the money that is set aside for us is actually impact capital. So they expect returns, but it's not there to just make money, right? So the mindset is very different of where we should invest.
Right.
We can't invest in everything that looks like it's going to make money. So for us, a lot of convincing needs to be done internally when we are looking at a deal as to why we should be doing this deal. At the same time, on the other side, we have Indian founders who have a very different mindset, right, on how they think about the business. But at the heart of it, if they've started to do something in this space, there is always something to give back to the society, is why they would have started it in whatever form and shape. And for us, again, that becomes the core as to why we should invest or back a certain founder. And for me, it's funny because I need to keep changing or
Yes.
behaving differently
Yeah.
in these two worlds, right? You need to start speaking the same language. And that was a learning curve for me. I think in this role, if I were to look at what I've learned, I had to shed a lot of things that I'd learned,
Unlearn
far more, and then build a trajectory for my own development as an individual and professional. But what helps is we have a great team back in Oslo that has always supported us and have complete faith in what we are seeing in the market and what we propose as possible investments and why we should do, and yeah, so that really helps.